Hey guys, this video is going to be for pattern number 15, and let's just kind of talk about this one real quick, like I do in most of my videos, to kind of think about how we're going to approach this one. So there's two or three main things I'm looking at here. If you just ignore the vertical lines for a second, look at the diagonal ones. So really what I'm seeing are, in this middle section right here, where there's kind of that diamond, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. That's just a simple square tile, 2 by 2. But within that square tile, the larger one, there's a smaller square inside of each of them. So that is not going to be too bad. I just have to get the tiling and then rotate it 45 degrees. Now on top of that though, there are those black vertical stripes that are kind of cutting through the pattern. Now I just don't want to have the stripes overlap everything, because you can see that the stripes, when they cross over this kind of smaller square, disappear. So I don't want them to shoot through this area right here, but everywhere else is fine. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here. And let's see if we can pull this one off. So what I'm going to do is hit space. Let's make a shape node, and we're going to stick with the square, and I'll just bring the scale down to like maybe 0.5 right now. I don't even know if this is the right scale. I know it needs to be relatively small. Okay, so I want to make that tile. I need some different edge detects. All right. Let's do a edge detect on this guy. Take off the roundness, and I don't know what the thickness needs to be. Probably a little thicker than that. Maybe 3. Okay. Now this piece right here with the white square in the middle and the black border, that is pretty much one section right here. Let's try tiling this one. So I'm going to take this guy, immediately put it in a tile generator. We're going to make this 2 by 2 and say use the pattern input. Now notice how it's not making that black line between the tiles. So if I just kind of scroll down here a little bit, I can probably just bring down the scale and introduce that other line. Okay, does that look about the same? Let me just double check my thicknesses. Yeah, that's pretty close. I think we're probably okay. Yeah, we're just going to go with it. So that's probably about right. Now I want to rotate it. Now I've had to do this before in one of the other videos, but I don't want to just rotate this whole thing because it's not going to work. So just to kind of show you this again, in case you didn't see the other video, if you try rotating this 45 degrees, so we'll type in 45, watch what happens when it tiles. See how it's not really tiling properly? I mean, it still looks kind of cool, but that's not what the reference is showing. So to fix the rotation issue when you're doing a 45 degree rotation, what you have to do is use a safe transform grayscale. This one will do the math for you, and as you rotate it by 45 degrees, it will auto scale it so it still fits properly within the 0 to 1 space, and it tiles perfectly. So this one's a lot better for 45 degree rotations. We use this quite a bit. Okay, so I think I've got that chunk. Pretty much all the diagonal lines are done. I now need to get the vertical stripes. So let's try that out. So stripes. Let me count them too. I gotta figure out how many we need here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm looking at the white pieces. 8 white. Okay, that shouldn't be too bad. So we're gonna do 8 stripes, no shift. So they're all flat. Bring the width down, because I want to thin those out a little bit. Maybe right around there. And I also want to flip it 90 degrees. So let's do a transform and then rotate 90. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now let's try blending this with the other one. So what happens at this point? So I've got this guy, that one. We're going to do a molt. Okay, my thickness is a little off. I can fix that real fast here. Let's do a width of 0.9. Let me just compare that to the reference. Not too bad. It's maybe like a little too thick. I kind of have to balance that with the thickness of these other edge detects. So it might be something where I go back here and play around with that guy too. But most of this is already done. Now, what's the one thing we've messed up? And I kind of mentioned this earlier, but when it's tiling, you can kind of see here, this center square, remember how earlier I was mentioning how these lines shouldn't be cutting through it? So that's our problem. How do I do that? So how do I prevent this from combining with that in those areas? Well, if you kind of think back to what we've done earlier, isn't that square that shape? Because that's how we built the border around it. So what if we did this? What if I took that same tile generator that we used before, just duplicate it, connect this guy into it, take the same safe transform, connect that new tile generator into it. So you can see I'm just making like a separate branch where instead of it being the edge detect going through it, it's now the original square. This we can use as a mask to tell it where not to appear. So let's see if we can get this to work. If I connect this into the opacity, what happens? It's the opposite. It thinks it only should be visible in that area. That's easy. Let's invert that the other way around. Move this over a little bit. And let's try that again with the inverted version. Nailed it. There it is. Now again, I think I still may have a couple issues with my edge thickness maybe not being like 100% correct on some of those pieces. So I could go back there and play around with that. I think it's mostly from this guy. Might have to be like a 4. That's probably a little closer. There it is. So that is how we do pattern 15.